Tonight, Matt Gaetz's attempt to win support. As Gaetz meets with Republican senators, President-elect Trump is being pressed. Is he reconsidering his attorney general nomination? Meanwhile, the House Ethics Committee behind closed doors decided whether to release its report on Gaetz and allegations of sexual misconduct and drug use. Plus,
when you look at virtually every metric, black voters, female voters, Latino voters, young voters, Joe Biden had higher numbers than Kamala Harris when he ran in 2020. How do you explain that?
Our conversation with the so-called colored girls about what went wrong for Kamala Harris and how the party they've spent their entire lives devoted to can pick up the pieces to move forward. And
we've got the largest budget of any agency in the federal government, an incredibly large workforce, both uniformed and, federal employees. This is quite the promotion for somebody who has most recently, just been a host on a TV show.
Tapped to be President-elect Trump's defense secretary, the nomination of Pete Hegseth has stirred up controversy and criticism. Our own Stephanie Ramos has a look at his experience and what his leadership could bring to the Pentagon. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis here in Washington, D.C. tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We're following those stories and much more, including the Northeast bracing for heavy rain amid burning wildfires and a record drought, the first snow of the season. Meantime, a deadly bomb cyclone triggers multiple alerts in the West for flooding, snow, avalanches, and high winds. Plus, the judge's verdict in a case that has drawn national attention, the murder of Laken Riley, her family's emotional statements, and an emotional goodbye to former One Direction singer Liam Payne. But we do begin here in Washington, D.C. with President-elect Trump's embattled cabinet pick, Matt Gaetz. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance escorting him on Capitol Hill today to meeting with senators who will vote on his nomination. This comes as the House Ethics Committee is deadlocked on releasing their massive report on alleged sexual misconduct involving a 17-year-old. Gaetz denies all wrongdoing. And as Trump pushes for recess appointments of some of his controversial nominees like Gaetz, at least one top Republican senator says those recess appointments for cabinet officials should be off the table. This hour, we'll talk with two senators, a Republican and a Democrat, who ultimately will have to vote whether or not to confirm him. But first, our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leads us off.
Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz huddled behind closed doors today with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance and some of the Republican senators who could decide his fate.
You've been going great. Senator's been giving me a lot of good advice.
Meanwhile, over in the House, the Bipartisan Ethics Committee held its own closed-door meeting, weighing whether to release their report on Gaetz and allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. After the two-hour meeting, the Republican chairman of the Ethics Committee announced the report would not be released, at least not now.
There was not an agreement by the committee to release the report.
Democrats on the committee are furious, saying they want the report out, but the Republicans refused.
I do not want the American public or anyone else to think that Mr. Guest's characterization of what transpired today would be some sort of indication that the committee had unanimity or consensus on this issue, not to release the report.
Matt Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing, but several Republican senators have expressed concerns.
I was shocked by the nomination, given the many allegations, but that's why it's important that the Senate go through its process.
Senator Lindsey Graham, who met with Gaetz today, says Gaetz deserves the benefit of the doubt.
No rubber stamps and no lynch mob. He will be held to account in the confirmation process.
A transition official said Gaetz's meetings with the Republican senators were, quote, productive, and that he listened to what they had to say about the confirmation process. But the Trump team is prepared to play hardball. One senior Trump advisor telling me they will work to end the political careers of any Republican who votes against the president-elect's nominees, saying, quote, if you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary. That is all. And there's a guy named Elon Musk who is going to finance it.
Some unsettling words there. John joins us. Now, John, what's next for the House Ethics Committee?
Lindsey, the Ethics Committee is going to meet again to discuss this report in December.
But the committee members are bitterly divided, and it is clear that Republicans on the committee have no interest in releasing this report. So I don't expect a different result when they come back to discuss it again in a few weeks.
All right, we'll see what happens there. John for us in West Palm Beach, Florida. Thanks so much, John. And joining us now is Missouri Republican Senator Eric Schmitt. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So give us a sense. Do you anticipate any big confrontations surrounding any of President-elect Trump's nominee picks for the cabinet?
I don't think so. I think if you take a step back, President Trump won the popular vote. He swept all the battleground states. And I think he, was given a mandate by the American people. So I think he deserves the right to have his people in place. There'll be confirmation hearings. There'll be a lot of questions, as there always is. But I think he'll get the cabinet that he wants. He campaigned on that. He campaigned on taking on permanent Washington, sort of this disruptor versus establishment model. And he's delivering on that.
Now, obviously, you were apparently in the running for the AG pick before you pulled yourself out of that. Now there's a lot of controversy surrounding Matt Gaetz in particular for that job. How important is it for you to see that Ethics Committee, House Ethics Committee report on Gaetz?
Well, I think this is what, for me as a senator, that's what the confirmation process is for. So whether that comes out or doesn't come out, there's going to be questions at the confirmation hearing. There should be. But I'm pretty confident that Matt Gaetz is going to get through. I think all the president's nominees are going to get through.
You have said in the past that you feel that the FBI and DOJ are both ripe for reform. If we ask you to put back on your AG hat for a moment, which in particular aspects of them both would you reform?
Well, I think it's been politicized to a degree we've never seen before. This DOJ has gone after Catholics. It's gone after parents who showed up to school board meetings under the auspices of the Patriot Act. It's engaged in lawfare to put its chief political rival in jail for the rest of his life. This is Banana Republic kind of stuff. So I think DOJ, we got to get back to a place where it's respected and also get back to fighting violent crime.
And you have said, as you're just confirming there, that you do think that the DOJ particularly targeted President-elect Donald Trump. Once he is president, do you think that it's appropriate for the then Attorney General to target anyone who has gone after the president at that point?
I think what President Trump has said is that his revenge will be victory, and I think he's fully committed to unifying the country and delivering on the promises in the campaign trail. But I do think there ought to be consequences for people who engaged in this kind of activity. The idea that the number 3 person from DOJ went to New York to prosecute President Trump on a political prosecution, that the assistant prosecutor in Atlanta was coordinating with the White House, that Jack Smith was chosen specifically for this, even though it was ruled by a federal judge to be an unconstitutional appointment as a special prosecutor. You put all this stuff together, this was a very coordinated attempt by Joe Biden and his DOJ to go after his chief political rival. I just don't think that's the kind of thing we want in this country. So I don't think President Trump's ever indicated he wants to go after political rivals, but I do think DOJ, there has to be some accountability here. There has to be accountability.
He's mentioned the idea of retribution and revenge. You don't think that that's the same thing? I
think he said his revenge is victory. He's achieved victory, and I do think he wants to unify the country. I think he's reached out.
With regard to reaching out to, let's say, those 70-some million Americans who did not vote for him, what do you say to those Americans who are concerned that this was a clean sweep of Republicans and now it's just going to be, everybody's going to be a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's agenda rather than that what's for the greater good of Americans?
Well, I think you look at what actually happened in that election. Gains were made in every demographic, every region of the country. Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, white Americans, married Americans. I mean, you go up and down the list, and Donald Trump performed better than he did 4 years ago, and again won the popular vote. Right? Won the popular vote and swept the battleground states. And what did he talk about on the campaign trail? It was very clear. Unleashing American energy, reducing spending and controlling the border, having operational control of the border. I think he's going to deliver on those promises. And the polling suggested that people trusted him more than Kamala Harris on all those important issues that affected their day-to-day lives. And so I think that's going to be his focus in his 4 years.
What do you think should be the priority on day one for this Republican-led Senate?
Well, I think for us, moving forward with the tax reform that was enacted in 2017 that's going to expire, I think we got to make sure that we have a tax code that works for working Americans. I think President Trump, by way of executive order, can do a lot of things that relates to the border. But if there are things we need to backfill, we should be willing to listen to that. And I also think unleashing American energy. Inflation's not some act of God. It turns out when you declare war on domestic energy production and you spend $1.4 trillion that you don't have, the cost of everything goes up. So I think we've got an opportunity to reduce inflation by unleashing American energy and controlling spending.
Senator Eric Schmidt, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
Good to be with you.
President-elect Trump's pick of Linda McMahon to lead the Department of Education comes as a scathing lawsuit details how the nominee and her husband allegedly fostered a culture of sexual abuse while president and CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment. The 2024 lawsuit alleges that Linda and husband Vince McMahon concealed the sordid underbelly of WWE's sexual abuse culture. The report says that underage so-called ring boys were abused by ringside announcer Mel Phillips and executives Terry Garvin and Pat Patterson, and that the McMahons knew of the rampant sexual misconduct but did nothing to stop it. Linda McMahon's lawyer says that the allegations are, quote, filled with scurrilous lies, exaggerations, and misrepresentations. And two major storm systems are barreling toward the east and west coast. The northeast is bracing for the heaviest rain in months, and in the west, a so-called bomb cyclone has already turned deadly. We have coverage from coast to coast. Meteorologist Lee Goldberg is tracking it all from New York, but we begin with Mola Lange in California.
Tonight, hundreds of thousands without power as a massive bomb cyclone slams the west. Power lines setting trees on fire in King County, Washington. First responders racing to dozens of calls across the Seattle area. At least 2 killed by falling trees, including a woman who authorities say was killed inside this home in Bellevue. A massive tree practically swallowing this city bus. Another one crushing this fire department vehicle. This car completely flattened.
Take a look at how tiny that space is. We are told that the person who was inside of this car miraculously survived. It's truly a stroke of luck.
In the Northern California mountains, howling winds and more than a foot of snow stranding drivers. Authorities shutting down a stretch of Interstate 5 south of the Oregon border because it's just too treacherous. And flooding rains at lower elevations. Some areas could get up to 1.5 feet by Friday. Well, Lindsay, we're expecting this rain to continue to pound Northern California for at least the next 24 hours, and then a very slight let up before it picks back up again and pounds the region through the weekend, Lindsay.
Mola Lange, our thanks to you. And let's go now to meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our partner station WABC in New York City, who's tracking it all for us, including a storm headed to our area as well. Hey, Lee.
Hey, Lindsay, we are rain gear ready here in New York City. First real significant soaker since late September. Pretty dynamic storm that we've been watching. We actually had a tornado warning east of Pittsburgh in the evening hours. Actually, some wind damage there. While that rain's moving into D.C., we'll be in New York City during the pre-dawn hours. It means an ugly morning commute in the tri-state area. Heavy rain and some gusty winds. See that heavy rain going up to Albany, and rain reaches Boston later in the morning. Now, the storm actually takes a left-hand turn and goes inland, wraps in some cold air. We've got snow breaking out in the Catskills and Poconos, into the mountains of West Virginia, where we could see 12 to 18 inches of snowfall. Even some wet flakes could get down to the coastal plain, but we're looking for at least 1, maybe up to 3 inches along the coastal plain. We need 3 months worth of rainfall to break a drought that has New York City 9 inches below average for the season. Out west, it's a powerhouse storm in the North Pacific, and it's roping in an atmospheric river, and we've got tremendous rain that's aimed right at Northern California, a rare high-risk, life-threatening flood event. Places like Eureka and Fort Bragg, we could have up to 1.5 feet of rainfall, causing rock slides, along with that big wind gust and huge waves pounding against the shoreline as well. When that goes inland up the higher terrain, we're talking big snows. The mountains of Northern California, maybe in total up to 4 feet of snow. In the Bitterroot, about 1 to 2 feet of snow. This is nasty for the next 72 hours. Lindsay?
A lot of precipitation on both coasts. Lee Goldberg, our thanks to you as always. A verdict was reached in the murder trial of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The judge found Jose Ibarra, an undocumented migrant from Venezuela, guilty on all counts and sentenced him to life without parole. Also in court today, the heart-wrenching testimony of Laken's family and friends, a new video released by the prosecutors. ABC's Faith Abube has this report.
Gasps and sobs inside a Georgia courtroom today as a judge delivered swift justice for Laken Riley.
Count 1, malice murder. I find the defendant guilty.
Jose Ibarra, an undocumented migrant from Venezuela, guilty on all 10 counts for brutally murdering the 22-year-old nursing student. This gut-wrenching moment played in court, showing Riley's family learning she was dead after she disappeared during a run on the University of Georgia campus.
My precious daughter was attacked, beaten, and shown no mercy.
Prosecutors pointing to this video showing Ibarra out hunting for women when he attacked Riley on a trail, leaving his DNA under her fingernail. Scratches on Ibarra's body proving Riley fought for her life.
She marked him for everyone to see. She marked him for you to see.
Riley's murder added fuel to a bitter debate over immigration, but the trial focused squarely on the evidence. Today, her loved ones asked for the maximum sentence.
I am completely disgusted having to even look and be in the same room as him. That predator is inhumane and is the epitome of evil. He showed no mercy on Lakin when she was begging for her life. There's no end to the pain and suffering that he inflicted on our family and our friends.
The sentence, life behind bars.
I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole.
Faith Abube joins us now from Georgia. Faith, this case was a flashpoint in the election. Has President-elect Trump reacted to the conviction?
Well, Lindsay, the president-elect invoked Riley's name repeatedly on the campaign trail tonight. He says his heart is with the victim and that it's time for the border to be secured so something like this never happens again. Lindsay.
Faith Abube for us. Thanks so much, Faith. Susan Smith, convicted of drowning her two small sons after rolling her car into a lake 30 years ago, appeared in court today. During a parole hearing in the notorious murder case, Smith, in tears, begged to be released. Her ex-husband and father of the children asked the parole board to keep Smith behind bars. Here's ABC's Victor Akendo with more.
It was a case that shocked the nation. A mother convicted of drowning her two young sons. And tonight, Susan Smith has been denied parole after tearfully making her case for freedom.
I know that what I did was horrible. And I would give anything if I could go back and change it.
In October 1994, Smith rolled her car into a South Carolina lake while her 3-year-old son Michael and 14-month-old Alex were strapped in their car seats. Smith then lying to authorities, saying she'd been carjacked by a black man who drove away, pleading for her sons to be returned safely.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much.
Later confessing to letting her car go into that lake. Today, her ex-husband and father of the two boys asking the board to keep her behind bars.
She made free choice that night to end her life. This wasn't a tragic mistake.
Victor Akendo joins us now. Victor, what's next in Smith's case now that the parole board decided to keep her in prison?
And Lindsay, we should mention that that was a unanimous decision from the parole board. Smith will now be eligible for parole every 2 years because she's already served 30 years in prison. Lindsay?
Victor Akendo for us. Thanks so much, Victor. Delaware Representative-elect Sarah McBride, who is set to become the first openly transgender member of Congress, is responding to recent House rule proposals following South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace's plan to introduce a ban on transgender women using women's restrooms. Speaker Mike Johnson is now saying that trans women should not be allowed in women's restrooms, changing rooms or locking rooms in the Capitol and House office buildings.
We have single-sex facilities for a reason, and women deserve women's-only spaces. And we're not anti-anyone. We're pro-woman, and I think it's an important policy for us to continue. It's always been I guess an unwritten policy, but now it's in writing.
McBride put out a statement on social media, writing in part, "I'm not here to fight about bathrooms. I'm here to fight for Delawareans and to bring down costs facing families. Like all members, I will follow the rules as outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them." And we have much more to get to here on Prime tonight. We're always learning more about the mysteries of space. Tonight, the unexpected way that a new planet was just discovered. But next, for Democrats, it was supposed to be a historic first for an African-American woman of color. What went wrong for Vice President Kamala Harris? We hear from the so-called colored girls as the Democratic Party regroups after a stinging loss.
Does the Democratic Party need to be rebuilt?
Of course. Whenever you have an electoral loss, you have to look at the carnage
other debris, sift through it, see what worked.
The ancestors called on us for a reason. To reconnect our people across the entire ocean.
No, I don't need her to save me. Again. Ow! Ow!
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG, only in theaters November 27th.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia. In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
The Hollywood Studios want us to make a movie of our podcast.
It's a fabulous cast.
Action. I'm nervous playing you. The fearlessness, the complexity.
Oh, stop. Unless you had more to say.
I don't need an algorithm to tell me that this is box office gold.
Only Murders in the Building, streaming on Hulu, and for bundle subscribers on Disney+.
Friday.
911, what's your emergency? I've been exhausted.
And then the line goes silent.
The all-new 2020.
At what point do you realize I might be dealing with a serial killer?
Friday night, the detective and the serial killer.
They've been compared to Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter.
Hey, look at me. I need your help. How many are there? Whatever he did, I'm gonna get it.
All new 2020, Friday night on ABC.
3, 2, 1.
It's a 24/7 life together.
It's not about the fear or the risk. It's about the love of flying. 3, 2, 1.
Ever since I was a boy, I've dreamt of being the hero. Now, I just take out the trash.
You mean you like take out the trash?
No, I mean I take out the garbage into a dumpster. That's my brother. He's been missing for 12 years. You're going to solve this?
We are.
It's time for my story.
You might not have a six-pack or a thin-pack, but you have heart.
You'll get him next time.
It's been 2 weeks since President-elect Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris. And while Capitol Hill is getting ready for some bruising confirmation battles, the Democratic Party is starting the long, grueling process of soul-searching to figure out what went wrong and how to move forward. We sat down with the so-called colored girls, accomplished black women in U.S. politics who have been at the pinnacle of their party for decades, including ABC News contributor Donna Brazile. What's their prescription for what their party should do next? Take a listen.
Take me back to 1988. Michael Dukakis is running for president. You all end up in a room where you post a sign, "Color Girls, we shall not be moved." Explain the backstory of that.
Well, it was an afternoon when the campaign was shifting from the primary into the general election. So you expand the office space and the perimeters by which we all work. And we noticed that on the 9th floor, where all of the senior leadership was designated to serve, there was no room for anyone but the white people. And so we decided that we would take the conference room and we put chairs and tables, and we called it, it was the Harriet Tubman Annex, Sojourner Truth, and then we put under the bottom, "We shall not be moved." And 5 of us went and we sat down and we never moved. That was the place where we held our offices.
Now that this election is behind us, almost 2 weeks behind us, how have you processed the loss?
I don't have any angst about it.
You know, I worry about the future of our country. I worry about the future of the world, obviously. But I felt, you know, we left everything on the field in many ways. And it doesn't mean that we don't get up for the next one.
Donna, in your book, Hacks, when you were talking about post-2016 election, you vowed that you were never going to let politics break your heart again. Have you been able to keep that promise?
Yes. And I have learned so much from 2016. And we can go back to 2016 and see some of the same trends that we just experienced in 2024. The fact that we had to battle disinformation, the fact that we had to battle the kind of apathy, the fact that we had to try to enlarge the electorate. My heart's not broken. My spirit is not broken. We have more work to do in terms of winning elections, building coalitions, and making sure we protect every citizen right to participate in the electoral process.
I'm sure you all have seen there was a headline that said how Kamala Harris burned through $1.5 billion in 15 weeks. Do you think that any amount of money could have changed? When you're looking in hindsight now, would the strategy have been different?
I'm glad they said burn through, because if they had burned through and ended up with $500 million left, we would have been really angry.
Yes. Remember in 2004, there were 15 million left over?
Yes.
We were like,
yes. And it showed some innovation, because they were just trying, you know, there was no trail here. There was no path.
No model.
So you were just inventing as you go. And quite frankly, you know, you throw things at the wall and it sticks and some doesn't stick. and it's costly when you do that, but they did it.
As Donna says, and Mignon's alluded to, we will know.
Yeah.
We will know.
By and by.
By and by.
Right.
By and by.
When you look at virtually every metric, black voters, female voters, Latino voters, young voters, Joe Biden had higher numbers than Kamala Harris when he ran in 2020. How do you explain that?
You know, people vote for personal reasons. Their personal lives, what they're being affected by. Are they being affected by the cost of eggs, the cost of bacon, the cost of gas? Are they being affected by what's going on in their kids' schools? Are they being affected by what's come through on social media? I don't think any of us should think we can sit here and say, this person voted because I failed to do this, rather than this person voted because they felt they needed this.
She was trying to get to as many people as she could. She had to prepare for a debate. All of these things. Had to prepare for a convention, which the switch came right in the middle of all of this. So I think all of that kind of compounded her victory, or her, if some people call it a defeat, I still feel like she was able to accomplish something that she probably shouldn't have in an ordinary presidential cycle, but I think she still did a remarkable job.
There was an article written in March of 2015 where it said the women, it was talking about you all, the colored girls, still view the largely white, mostly male Democratic political elite as detached from the problems of minorities. Fast forward almost 10 years, and you have, according to the exit polls, a large number of minorities who said that they no longer trust the Democratic Party, especially when it comes to improving the economy. What is the disconnect?
Inflation was the devil we could not bury. It wasn't, look, Joe and Kamala, I believe, they've done a fantastic job in bringing us back from the brink of helping the American people with really good investments in the economy. But we were talking jobs, 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 and the voters were saying cost of living is too high, the rent's too high, the cost of grocery and gas. And I think that's the big disconnect that we could not wrestle with.
Does the Democratic Party need to be rebuilt?
Of course. Whenever you have an electoral loss, you have to look at the carnage or the debris, sift through it, see what worked in North Carolina, where all of the Democrats on the statewide ticket won, but you know, the vice president fell short. We have to look through everything that worked and didn't work. And you know what? This is a party that came back after the 49 state electoral loss in 1984 to electing a black president with over 330 electoral votes in 2008. We're going to learn, and we're going to rebuild, and we're going to be stronger. I have faith.
If you go back and do any research, what you're going to find especially when you lose. We didn't talk to the working class. Minorities didn't come out. It's the same language, but here's the fundamental difference. Get in the game.
Get in.
The Congress people have more power than we do.
Well,
get in the game. That's all you have to do.
Stay in the fight.
The party doors are open every day. Get in the game. She has a strong, powerful, progressive voice. Get in the game.
Donald Trump's cabinet is on track to be the least diverse of this century. Do you have a particular concern for people of color in the next 4 years?
And one thing I think that we all grew up with and lived with is we walked into a room, we would notice immediately, immediately, if there were no people of color.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's missing?
Who's missing?
Who's missing?
And this is what you hope from people, that they have eyes to see. They have eyes to see.
Listen, Lindsey, it's no secret that the majority of African Americans gave their vote to Vice President Harris. But when you become president of all the
Americans.
people. Will he see everybody? Or will he just see the segment of people that vote, the 76 million that have voted for him? Well, then you have to take her 70-some million that have voted and decide. He has to make the fundamental decision, am I going to be the president for all Americans?
Have any of you had a conversation with the vice president subsequent to the election that you can share any tidbit of what she said or what you offered?
I have spoken with her, and I have been remarkably impressed with her resilience and her ability to not drown in herself, but making sure that whatever she decides to do next in her life, she can still be a voice for people that championed her.
There will be young people tomorrow making their announcement to run for Congress because they were inspired by her.
What gives you hope for the Democratic Party?
I go to church every day. I have faith, but it's also, to quote a former boss of mine, I never bet against the American people.
Well, I don't leave home without hope. My faith has sustained me. As I was walking my little dog this morning, I was thinking about my grandmother, Frances, and how overjoyed she was to get that voter registration card in 1965. That memory of Grandma Frances with her voter registration card gives me hope.
I think what gives me hope, Lindsey, is I just see the future. You know, I had a former boss that always said to us, don't look at today, look at 5 years from now. And 5 years from now, you're going to see new voices.
Our thanks to the ladies for that conversation. Still much more to get to. Coming up, one of the highest regarded universities in the country is making a change to its tuition structure in an effort to make higher learning more affordable. The next today is Transgender Day of Remembrance, a way to raise awareness and spread understanding. That is tonight's By the Numbers.
They were 150 feet down in the dark, in the cold, with just a dwindling supply of oxygen.
An unbelievable mystery. How does the ultimate status symbol end up on the bottom of the sea? How could they be gone in 16 minutes?
It just doesn't happen.
Desperate efforts to find 6 missing people after a luxury yacht sank down to the sea floor.
We were just praying.
I think about the last few moments for them. It's terrifying.
Sinking of the super yacht, now streaming on Hulu.
How many elephants have you killed?
True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
we have to go,
and deceit.
Where are we going next? We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find.
These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved.
There.
Friday.
911, what's your emergency? I've been exhausted.
And then the line goes silent.
The all-new 2020.
At what point do you realize I might be dealing with a serial killer?
Friday night, the detective and the serial killer.
They've been compared to Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter.
Hey, look at me. I need your help. How many are there? Whatever he did, I'm gonna get it.
All new 2020, Friday night on ABC. The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia.
In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza. Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there. You're streaming
ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
The ancestors called on us for a reason.
To reconnect our people across the entire ocean.
No, I don't need her to save me. Again. Ow! Ow!
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG, only in theaters November 27th.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story.
As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live. Right there. As events unfold across the day. Breaking down the day's top stories.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
I'm Medea Villarreal in the battleground state of Nevada covering the election. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. Today and every November 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance. It acknowledges the harm and hate the trans community often bears. In time, many hope that society will become more understanding as a number of scientists decide that being transgender, like being gay, is a trait you were born with. Transgender Day of Remembrance is tonight's By the Numbers. 36 transgender people died from acts of violence since last November 20th. Black transgender women made up half of those 36 deaths. The Williams Institute at UCLA Law estimates 1.6 million people in the U.S. age 13 and older identify as transgender. Sociologists believe that number keeps rising only because more people with each passing year become comfortable identifying as their true selves. More than 40 anti-LGBTQ+ bills across 14 states became laws this year, according to the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, many of them forcing people to use public bathrooms according to their sex assigned at birth. Similar to this is the bill proposed by Representative Nancy Mace to ban the first openly transgender member of Congress, Sarah McBride, from using a women's restroom at the Capitol. FBI data reveals there were 542 gender identity motivated hate crimes last year committed against transgender or gender expansive people, making transgender people 4 times more likely than others to be victims of violence. Today marks the end of Transgender Awareness Week. And now to tonight's rundown. The oil companies that made a promise to end plastic pollution but then polluted 1,000 times more. Disturbing findings by FDA inspectors inside the factory of a popular American toothpaste brand. And what happened when a 10-year-old boy called 911 for help with his math homework?
MIT is changing their tuition structure. The university announced that undergraduates with a family income of under $200,000 per year will not pay tuition starting next fall. About 80% of American households fall under that threshold. The school also announced that for students whose families that make under $100,000 a year, financial aid will cover their tuition plus room and board. The school says their generous financial aid allowed 87% of its current class to graduate debt-free. New data released by environmental nonprofit Greenpeace shows plastic companies' recycling efforts aren't keeping up with production. The report focuses on an industry group called the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, founded by Chevron, Exxon, and others with the goal of cleaning up plastic waste globally. But according to Greenpeace, it's taken the Alliance to End Plastic Waste 5 years to clear up the amount of plastic its leading oil and petrochemical members produce in under 2 days. Madison Barber, a grad student at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, was researching young transiting systems in space when she made a remarkable discovery. During her observations of the brightness of stars over time, Barber noticed some little dips in brightness, indicating that a transiting planet may be passing near Earth. The planet is estimated to be 3 million years old, which is considered young for planets. An FDA inspection found water contaminated with bacteria was used to make toothpaste by Tom's of Maine. Inspectors found a black mold-like substance at the manufacturing location. The strain of bacteria found in the water samples can cause blood and lung infections, according to the FDA. Parent company Colgate-Palmolive says it's working with the FDA to resolve the issue, and there haven't been any recalls yet. Members of One Direction were among the friends and family to pay their final respects to Liam Payne at his funeral. Singers Harry Styles, Zayn Malik, Niall Horan, and Louis Tomlinson reunited alongside other mourners at the private funeral in the English countryside to remember Payne following his death in Argentina last month. He died of multiple traumas and internal and external hemorrhage, a post-mortem examination report said. Payne was 31 years old. An unusual 911 call resulted in a helping hand from officers with the Wisconsin Sheriff's Department. A 10-year-old called the emergency line with a unique request: help with his math homework. Since the department wasn't busy at the time, they decided to respond. Responding Deputy Chase Mason helped the young caller finish his decimal homework.
I didn't have the heart to tell him that I wasn't very good at math either, but I was going to give it my best shot, so.
Deputy Mason reminded the boy to only use 911 in emergency situations and gave the boy his non-emergency number.
And still much more ahead here on Prime as we report from Washington. As Trump's cabinet shapes up, the president-elect's pick for defense secretary is a Fox News host who has criticized the military he would be leading. We learn more tonight about Pete Hegseth and his controversial plans for the Department of Defense. Plus, Illinois Senator and combat veteran Tammy Duckworth shares her concerns for our national security if Trump's nominees are confirmed.
Did you kill Mary Yoder?
Sorry. No, I did not kill Mary Yoder. So it was a normal day until Mary started getting sick. No one really knew what was happening.
Her eyes just looked terrified. In less than 48 hours, my mom went from her healthy self to having died.
This is a mystery. How did she die? They begin to do this autopsy.
It's just screaming, toxin, toxin, toxin.
Did somebody intentionally do this to her?
When the tests came back, I thought, yo, holy, are you kidding me?
I had dated Adam. I was scared of him. It changed the way I see the world.
She was really afraid for her life.
I do think Bill could have killed Mary. His wife died in July, and in November, he was dating his sister-in-law.
There was nothing in the world that was making sense at that point.
Caitlin Conley was guilty as sin. Are you okay?
I'm sorry, I'm scared.
This girl thought she was smarter than everybody else. But there's another side to Caitlin Conley.
Well, I'm not buying this little Miss Innocent game.
Sequoia's a very small town. Everybody knows everybody.
My garden club is very divided. People think she's innocent. I think she's guilty.
Never heard of a case like this. Maybe a thriller.
It was pure evil.
We weren't quite sure what was coming next. I know it wasn't me. Sorry. So, if it wasn't me, who was it?
Little Miss Innocent. Passion, poison, prison. Only on Hulu.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news, ABC News Live. Breaking news, exclusives, live reporting across the globe. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
I love this version of me.
America's #1 most watched daytime talk show is ABC's The View.
You all heard
it here first.
I love it. I'm there for it.
Hot topics, political views.
That's what we're about.
Voices that matter. It all goes down right here.
That's why it's called the what?
The View.
I love it. I'm all in. Second that. This is going to be must-see TV, and so much could happen.
Welcome back, everyone. President-elect Donald Trump has been quickly filling high-profile positions in his cabinet. His pick for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. While he's a decorated military veteran, questions have been raised about his level of experience and some comments he's made about policies he believes the armed forces should remove. ABC's Stephanie Ramos, who served in the Iraq War, has more on what the Pentagon could look like under Hegseth's leadership.
Big changes possibly on the way for the Department of Defense now that President-elect Donald Trump has chosen Fox News host and Army veteran Pete Hegseth to lead the department.
And this unleashes the opportunity for real American-led, America-first foreign policy.
44-year-old Hegseth is a former major in the Army National Guard, a veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, but also a prominent conservative voice in media.
In the military, our diversity is not our strength. Our unity is our strength.
One of Hegseth's major talking points, he says it's time to clean house at the Pentagon.
It's got the largest budget of any agency in the federal government, an incredibly large workforce, both uniformed and, federal employees. This is quite the promotion for somebody who has most recently, just been a host on a TV show.
The U.S. military, as well as the CIA, or the FBI, should be completely apolitical. That is what I think the U.S. citizen demands, and I think that is what they have, and it needs to remain that way.
In his latest book, Hegseth criticizes what he calls woke leadership in the military, arguing that efforts to promote diversity and inclusion have weakened the armed forces. In a recent interview on the Sean Ryan Show podcast, Hegseth has strong opinions on the place of women in combat.
Because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
He believes those policies are undermining readiness and morale, and he's been sharply critical of transgender service members. Hegseth writes, the next commander-in-chief will need to clean house and says the military is driving away potential recruits, particularly what he refers to as America's white sons and daughters. Hegseth has also made it clear that he opposes allowing women to serve on the front lines, saying it complicates combat situations and reduces military effectiveness.
What do you think when you hear these remarks by someone who's nominated to be the defense secretary?
Such outdated views as to not allowing women to serve in whatever ways that they want to serve their country. And by the way, they're volunteering to serve their country. We shouldn't apply restrictions on that if they are capable and qualified to serve in combat roles.
In 2022, the Army updated qualifications for its basic physical fitness test, allowing more women and older soldiers to pass. The basic fitness test, though, did not result in more women or others passing in greater numbers. And the test is still up for debate in Congress.
We've changed the standards in putting them there, which means you've changed the capability of that unit. And if you say you haven't, you're a liar.
But what hasn't changed is the gender-neutral, rigorous tests that women must pass to become Green Berets, Army Rangers, and Navy Special Warfare Operators. Women account for nearly a fifth of active duty military personnel. That's nearly 230,000 serving for the United States at home and abroad. Just today, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin defended the DoD's commitment to women in the military.
So I think our women add significant value to the United States military, and we should never change that.
Father of 7 and recently married to his third wife, Hegseth's personal life has also been the center of controversy. His attorney confirmed with ABC News that Hegseth paid a woman who accused him of sexual assault, settling for an undisclosed amount. A police report was filed days after the alleged assault, but Hegseth was never charged. In a statement to ABC News, Hegseth's lawyer says, knowing that it was the height of the Me Too movement and any public accusation would result in his immediate termination from Fox, Mr. Hegseth ultimately decided to enter into a settlement for a significantly reduced amount.
You know, we call ourselves conservatives, but what are we really?
We're freedom lovers.
Hegseth's nomination signals that Trump may take a more traditionalist and hardline approach to military leadership in his next administration.
The military brass that led these absurd and insulting initiatives will likewise be removed, and they will no longer be in command. They're going to be gone so fast.
Hegseth has signaled his possible international policy, calling institutions like the United Nations a farce. Speaking on the Man of War podcast, he said the military under Trump was more effective.
They knew he meant business. Kim Jong-un, even though it didn't work, knew Trump meant business.
Yes.
Fire and fury was a real thing. Uncertainty is a real thing. The real threat of violence is a real thing. And none of that exists under these globalists who think they can sanction their way.
The Pentagon is bracing for sweeping policy changes under the incoming Trump administration, including a review board who will have the power to remove top brass, undoing DEI accommodations and training within the military. While some may raise questions about whether Hegseth has the experience to lead such a large organization, he does know what it's like to be in the military theater.
Pete Hegseth is a combat veteran. So he served in Iraq, he served in Afghanistan, he has 2 Bronze Stars, and that's significant because not everybody making significant policy decisions in Washington has that experience.
But his views, particularly on diversity and inclusion, are considered by some to be dangerous and will likely lead to debates during his confirmation on Capitol Hill and beyond.
The last thing we need to do is be turning off any able-bodied American who wants to raise their hand and volunteer to serve in uniform, as long as we want to continue to fight our wars with all volunteers. It is not just a people issue at that point, it's a national security issue.
Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos with that. And keeping the changing landscape in Washington in focus tonight, our next guest is Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth. Senator Duckworth serves on the Armed Services and Foreign Relations Committee, among others. Senator Duckworth, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. For those who aren't familiar, you're also an Iraq War veteran, Purple Heart recipient. You were among the first Army women to fly combat missions during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and we certainly thank you for your service. Given that, how do Pete Hegseth's comments that women should not be in combat roles sit with you?
Well, you know, obviously I have my personal opinions, but as a U.S. Senator, my job will be to determine whether or not he's qualified to be Secretary of Defense. And frankly, it shows me that he's not, because he doesn't understand the realities of modern warfare. We're not talking about the Revolutionary War where there's a line behind which, you know, this is combat and that's not combat. If you were in the green zone in Iraq, in Baghdad, you were in a combat zone, whether you were a helicopter pilot like myself or a truck driver, which, by the way, is a job that women have been doing since World War I. So it just showed me that he really, you know, doesn't understand modern warfare and is therefore not qualified to be Secretary of Defense.
Of course, we're watching how Trump's cabinet is coming together, including Matthew Whitaker as NATO ambassador. Given your committee roles, your 23 years of service in our military, what impact do you think that these cabinet picks will have on our global standing?
Well, I think it's already scaring our allies and our friends around the world. I think it is giving our adversaries hope. I think the fact is that whether you are Iran or Russia or the communist Chinese government, you are probably eagerly awaiting the return of Donald Trump, and these cabinet appointees or, you know, nominees, potential nominees, just reinforces the fact that you're going to have a cabinet that is one that's going to do whatever Donald Trump wants them to do, and all you have to do if you are a dictator anywhere in the world is just to appeal to Donald Trump's ego, and you'll get what you want.
Trump, as you know, has tapped Representative Tulsi Gabbard for the role of National Intelligence Director, despite Gabbard being accused of amplifying Russian propaganda. Your reaction to her in this pivotal national security role?
Yeah, again, she's not qualified for the job. She did serve in the military, but when she was in Iraq, she was a medical records clerk E4. That's below the rank of sergeant. That's below even the rank of corporal. Later on, when she became a military officer, she spent just 3 months. That's it, just 3 months training the Kuwaiti National Guard. And, you know, and in the meantime, since she was elected to Congress at the same time I was, to the House Representative, since that time, what has she done? She's become an apologist for Vladimir Putin. She's gone out and met met with Bashar Assad, dictators and authoritarian leaders around the world. Frankly, I don't think that she could hold a security clearance. And this is why she's not qualified for the position.
The Senate is expected to have some late nights this week working to confirm President Biden's nominees for the federal judiciary, especially with Senate Republicans attempting to delay or block the nominees. Obviously, this is a core function of the Senate. How do you see this playing out?
Well, this is, really Republicans trying to block, but we're going to pass all of these judicial nominees. We're going to get them confirmed. We were here, whether we get it done at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or after midnight like we did on Monday. We're prepared to be here until 4 a.m. this morning or 7 a.m. tomorrow. I'm not going to leave here until we get these judges onto the bench. The federal judiciary is too important to leave these judicial positions open, and we're going to do everything we can to get these judges placed.
You've said in the past that you want to bridge the partisan gap in the Senate. What are some specific areas where you do think that you can work closely with your colleagues across the aisle?
Well, I do think that there are places where we can work together. I've worked a lot with Senator Sullivan of Alaska on opposing the PRC when it comes to Taiwan and making sure we strengthen Taiwan's defense capabilities. I do think that we can make investments in alternative energies. I come from the Midwest, ethanol producing state. I've worked with Senator Joni Ernst on quite a few things when it comes to biofuels. So I do think there are things we can work together. We recently passed Jerry Moran from Kansas and I, the FAA 5-year reauthorization, and I will continue to do that work. But in the meantime, I still will do my job providing the checks and balances on the executive branch, which is frankly what our founders intended when they created, the system of government that we have.
Senator Duckworth, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, an investigation is now underway. What caused 3 separate home explosions rocking communities across the country? And why movie theaters are issuing a stern no singing warning to audiences this weekend.
Friday.
911, what's your emergency?
And then the line goes silent.
The all-new 2020.
At what point do you realize I might be dealing with a serial killer?
Friday night, the detective and the serial killer.
They've been compared to Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter.
Hey, look at me. I need your help. How many are there? Whatever he did, I'm gonna get it.
All new 2020, Friday night on ABC.
A Hollywood studio want us to make a movie of our podcast.
It's a fabulous cast.
Action. I'm nervous playing you. The fearlessness, the complexity.
Oh, stop. Unless you had more to say.
I don't need an algorithm to tell me that this is box office gold.
Only Murders in the Building, streaming on Hulu and for bundle subscribers on Disney+.
Hey, good morning, America. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Are you ready? They are ready. Covering the biggest events in the country right now.
There's a lot going on here this morning.
You don't just see it, you feel it.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in too. I'll be here.
I am here and so happy.
I'm in.
I'm in too.
Michael, George, Claire,
Ginger.
The news never stops. We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
Hurricane Helene screaming across the state.
And that's why ABC News Live never stops.
Taking you to the center of the story. As news breaks live.
ABC News Live is there for you all morning live. Right there. As events unfold across the day, breaking down the day's top stories.
ABC News Live Prime going there, wherever the story is.
And ABC News Live lighting up the weekend.
ABC News Live.
Because the news never stops.
They were 150 feet down, in the dark, in the cold, with just a dwindling supply of oxygen.
An unbelievable mystery. How does the ultimate status symbol end up on the bottom of the sea? How could they be gone in 16 minutes?
It just doesn't happen.
Desperate efforts to find 6 missing people after a luxury yacht sank 160 feet down to the sea floor.
A search and rescue effort continues for passengers on board a 180-foot boat sinking during a severe storm off Sicily.
We were just praying. It's given birth to countless conspiracy theories. There is a sort of Titanic quality about it.
7 people missing in the wreckage, 160 feet below the surface.
I think about the last few moments for them on the ship all the time. It's haunting. It's terrifying.
Gone in 16 minutes. Sinking of the super yacht. Now streaming on Hulu.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News live.
Good evening, everyone. This is ABC News Live Prime. I'm Linsey Davis reporting tonight from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We have a lot of news to get to tonight, including the Northeast bracing for heavy rain amid burning wildfires and a record drought. Meanwhile, a deadly bomb cyclone triggers multiple alerts in the West for flooding, snow, avalanches, and high winds. Plus,
pain of the last 9 months has been indescribable. That everywhere I go just reminds me of places we used to hang out and go on walks too.
the judge's verdict in a case that has drawn national attention, the murder of Laken Riley, her family's emotional statements, and an emotional goodbye to former One Direction singer Liam Payne. But we do begin here in Washington, D.C. tonight with President-elect Trump's embattled cabinet pick, Matt Gaetz. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance escorting him on Capitol Hill today to meetings with senators who will vote on his nomination. This comes as the House Ethics Committee is deadlocked on releasing their massive report on alleged sexual misconduct involving a 17-year-old. Gaetz denies all wrongdoing. And as Trump pushes for recess appointments for some of his controversial nominees like Gaetz, at least one top Republican senator says those recess appointments for cabinet officials should be off the table. Our chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl leads us off.
Attorney General nominee Matt Gaetz huddled behind closed doors today with Vice President-elect J.D. Vance and some of the Republican senators who could decide his fate.
You've been going great. Senator's been giving me a lot of good advice.
Meanwhile, over in the House, the Bipartisan Ethics Committee held its own closed-door meeting, weighing whether to release their report on Gaetz and allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use. After the 2-hour meeting, the Republican chairman of the Ethics Committee announced the report would not be released, at least not now.
There was not an agreement by the committee to release the report.
Democrats on the committee are furious, saying they want the report out, but the Republicans refused.
I do not want the American public or anyone else to think that Mr. Guest's characterization of what transpired today would be some sort of indication that the committee had unanimity or consensus on this issue, not to release the report.
Matt Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing, but several Republican senators have expressed concerns.
I was shocked by the nomination, given the many allegations, but that's why it's important that the Senate go through its process.
Senator Lindsey Graham, who met with Gaetz today, says Gaetz deserves the benefit of the doubt.
No rubber stamps and no lynch mob. He will be held to account in the confirmation process.
A transition official said Gaetz's meetings with the Republican senators were, quote, productive, and that he listened to what they had to say about the confirmation process. But the Trump team is prepared to play hardball. One senior Trump advisor telling me they will work to end the political careers of any Republican who votes against the president-elect's nominees, saying, quote, if you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary. That is all. And there's a guy named Elon Musk who is going to finance it.
Some ominous words there. Thanks to John Karl for that. Two major storm systems are barreling toward the east and west coast. The northeast is bracing for the heaviest rain in months, and in the west, a so-called bomb cyclone has already turned deadly. We have coverage from coast to coast tonight. Meteorologist Lee Goldberg is tracking it all from New York, but we begin with Moalangi in California.
Tonight, hundreds of thousands without power as a massive bomb cyclone slams the west. Power lines setting trees on fire in King County, Washington.
First responders racing to dozens of calls across the Seattle area. At least 2 killed by falling trees, including a woman who authorities say was killed inside this home in Bellevue. A massive tree practically swallowing this city bus. Another one crushing this fire department vehicle. This car completely flattened.
Take a look at how tiny that space is. We are told that the person who was inside of this car miraculously survived. It's truly a stroke of luck.
In the Northern California mountains, howling winds and more than a foot of snow stranding drivers. Authorities shutting down a stretch of Interstate 5 south of the Oregon border because it's just too treacherous. And flooding rains at lower elevations. Some areas could get up to 1.5 feet by Friday.
Our thanks to Mola Lange. And let's go now to meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our partner station WABC in New York City, who's tracking it all for us, including a storm headed to our area as well. Hey, Lee.
Hey, Lindsay, we are rain gear ready here in New York City. First real significant soaker since late September. Pretty dynamic storm that we've been watching. We actually had a tornado warning east of Pittsburgh in the evening hours. Actually, some wind damage there. While that rain's moving into D.C., we'll be in New York City during the pre-dawn hours. It means an ugly morning commute in the tri-state area. Heavy rain and some gusty winds. See that heavy rain going up to Albany, and rain reaches Boston later in the morning. Now, the storm actually takes a left-hand turn and goes inland, wraps in some cold air. We've got snow breaking out in the Catskills and Poconos, into the mountains of West Virginia, where we could see 12 to 18 inches of snowfall. Even some wet flakes could get down to the coastal plain, but we're looking for at least 1, maybe up to 3 inches along the coastal plain. We need 3 months worth of rainfall to break a drought that has New York City 9 inches below average for the season. Out west, it's a powerhouse storm in the North Pacific, and it's roping in an atmospheric river, and we've got tremendous rain that's aimed right at Northern California, a rare high-risk, life-threatening flood event. Places like Eureka and Fort Bragg, we could have up to 1.5 feet of rainfall, causing rock slides, along with that big wind gust and huge waves pounding against the shoreline as well. When that goes inland up the higher terrain, we're talking big snows in the mountains of Northern California, maybe in total up to 4 feet of snow. In the Bitterroot, about 1 to 2 feet of snow. This is nasty for the next 72 hours. Lindsay?
A lot of precipitation on both coasts. Lee Goldberg, our thanks to you as always. A verdict was reached in the murder trial of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The judge found Jose Ibarra, an undocumented migrant from Venezuela, guilty on all counts and sentenced him to life without parole. Also in court today, the heart-wrenching testimony of Laken's family and friends. A new video released by the prosecutors. Faith Abube has this story.
Gasps and sobs inside a Georgia courtroom today as a judge delivered swift justice for Laken Riley.
Count 1, malice murder. I find the defendant guilty.
Jose Ibarra, an undocumented migrant from Venezuela, guilty on all 10 counts for brutally murdering the 22-year-old nursing student. This gut-wrenching moment played in court, showing Riley's family learning she was dead after she disappeared during a run on the University of Georgia campus.
My precious daughter was attacked, beaten, and shown no mercy.
Prosecutors pointing to this video showing Ibarra out hunting for women when he attacked Riley on a trail, leaving his DNA under her fingernail. Scratches on Ibarra's body proving Riley fought for her life.
She marked him for everyone to see. She marked him for you to see.
Riley's murder added fuel to a bitter debate over immigration, but the trial focused squarely on the evidence. Today, her loved ones asked for the maximum sentence.
I am completely disgusted having to even look and be in the same room as him. That predator is inhumane and is the epitome of evil. He showed no mercy on Laken when she was begging for her life. There's no end to the pain and suffering that he inflicted on our family and our friends.
The sentence, life behind bars.
I sentence you to life without the possibility of parole.
Our thanks to Faith Abube. Susan Smith, convicted of drowning her 2 small sons after rolling her car into a lake 30 years ago, appeared in court today. During a parole hearing in the notorious murder case, Smith, in tears, begged to be released. Her ex-husband and father of the children asked the parole board to keep her behind bars. Here's our Victor Akenda with more.
It was a case that shocked the nation. A mother convicted of drowning her 2 young sons, and tonight Susan Smith has been denied parole after tearfully making her case for freedom.
I know that what I did was so horrible. you.
In October 1994, Smith rolled her car into a South Carolina lake while her 3-year-old son Michael and 14-month-old Alex were strapped in their car seats. Smith then lying to authorities, saying she'd been carjacked by a black man who drove away, pleading for her sons to be returned safely.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much.
Later confessing to letting her car go into that lake. Today, her ex-husband and father of the 2 boys asking the board to keep her behind bars.
She made free choice that night to end her life. This wasn't a tragic mistake.
Our thanks to Victor Oquendo. A Dallas County judge has ordered former police officer Amber Geiger to pay $98.65 million for the 2018 murder of Botham Jean in a federal civil case. Geiger shot and killed Jean at his Dallas apartment in 2018 and is serving a 10-year prison sentence for his murder. In 2019, she testified that she mistook the victim's apartment for hers and thought he was an intruder. She lived in the apartment above his. In the federal civil rights lawsuit, it alleges the city inadequately trained Geiger. Jean's family and attorneys said her sentencing shows justice was served. Another horrific attack in New York City, what appears to be a random knife attack on the Upper West Side, a popular area for shoppers. New York City police are hunting for this man who slashed a tourist in the face in a seemingly unprovoked attack. The 55-year-old visiting from Denmark was walking just after 10 a.m. The attacker ran up from behind and slashed him in the face and ear. He was taken to the hospital and is said to be in stable condition. Now to the string of home explosions in 3 different parts of the country, from Tennessee to Ohio to Michigan. Stephanie Ramos with those images tonight.
3 separate home explosions rocking communities across the country tonight. Flames and smoke billowing from this home in Tennessee. Fire crews saying debris flew nearly 150 yards in all directions. The home reduced to rubble, flames tearing through what's left of the roof, knocked off the foundation. No one was injured, but officials fear other homes in the area could be on fire. The cause is now under investigation. Overnight in Michigan, just north of Detroit, a suspected gas leak causing this 2-story condo to explode. Doorbell video showing that loud, fiery blast. Debris seen flying across the street. 2 adults seriously injured. Earlier that same day, investigators reviewing how this home in the town of Bethel, an hour outside Cincinnati, exploded. 2 people were killed, another injured and treated for serious burns. Neighbors say an HVAC technician was working on the furnace before the explosion.
Lindsay, while the cause of 2 of the explosions are under investigation, natural gas line leaks are rare but extremely dangerous. As the weather changes and many look to turn on their heat, experts say make sure to keep a carbon monoxide detector in every common area. Lindsay.
Stephanie, thank you. Syria's state-run media reports 36 people were killed in a strike on the country's historic town of Palmyra, and the country is blaming Israel. There is no video yet of the reported aftermath, but the strikes allegedly led to significant damage, and 50 people were also wounded. Palmyra is known for the historic Roman temple complex, and documents mention it dating back to the 2nd millennium BC. The Israeli military has declined to comment on the attack. The U.S. Embassy in Kyiv was shut down temporarily today under warnings of a significant air attack. The announcement came as Ukrainian forces fired missiles deep into Russia for a 2nd straight day, while the Biden administration, in a policy reversal, authorized Ukraine to use anti-personnel landmines. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell reports once again from Ukraine tonight.
Tonight, a new escalation. Videos circulating online appear to show massive explosions rocking Russia's Kursk region. The Wall Street Journal reporting Ukraine launching at least 10 British-made Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Ukraine not commenting. Ukraine fighting to hold on to a small patch of Russian territory it holds in Kursk to use as leverage. But Russian forces, assisted by thousands of North Korean soldiers, are slowly pushing them back. The US, in another policy reversal, now allowing Ukraine to use anti-personnel landmines to try to slow the Russians down. And amid growing fears about Russian retaliation, the US Embassy in Kyiv closing down for much of the day. We were given exclusive access to the secret command center of the elite Ukrainian Hartia Brigade in Kharkiv. Here, drone operators launch attacks on Russian troops.
For Ukrainians,
We do not have a choice, we have to fight because we are fighting for our land and for our way of life, for our freedom.
Linsey, both sides slugging it out just across the border in Russia in a fight to the death. But they're also trying to take and hold as much land as possible before President-elect Trump takes office and forces the two sides to the negotiating table. Linsey?
Ian, thank you. Still much more to get to tonight. It's not every day a cruise ship with more than 1,200 staterooms is christened. We take you inside the Disney treasure. When the film Wicked is released this week, AMC Theaters is kindly asking you to follow its no singing policy. But might rules change at some screenings starting Christmas Day?
How many elephants have you killed? True natural beauty, one of the last of its kind. But this comes at a cost. 5 countries, 5 incredible real stories of adventure, danger,
We have to go.
and deceit. Where are we going next? We got this ongoing search for the animal we've been trying to find. These are the last lands. The national parks around the world that have to be saved.
Ancestors called on us for a reason. To reconnect our people across the entire ocean.
No, I don't need her to save me. Again. Ow! Ow!
Disney's Moana 2, rated PG, only in theaters November 27th.
This ship is heaven. There should be no guilt on a pleasure cruise. Doctor, it's your job to keep everybody alive.
No pulse. She's in VFib. 1, 2, 3. Clear.
I have a pulse.
You're gonna be okay.
Reporting from Atlanta on Election Day, I'm Steve Oceansami. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Members of One Direction were among the friends and family to pay their final respects to Liam Payne at his funeral. Singers Harry Styles, Zayn Malik, Niall Horan, and Louis Tomlinson reunited alongside other mourners at the private funeral in the English countryside to remember Payne following his death in Argentina last month. According to a post-mortem examination, he died of multiple traumas and internal and external hemorrhage. Payne was 31 years old. There's no relief in sight for residents in the Indian capital of New Delhi as they choke on toxic smog. While visibility has improved since it appeared, officials say the air quality index reading was a 420 out of 500. The government has ordered half of its employees to stay home and schools to conduct classes online. Alec Baldwin's Rust film premiered at a low-key Polish film festival today, 3 years after cinematographer Helena Hutchins died when Baldwin pointed a gun at her. Director Joel Souza, who was wounded in the shooting, said it was a relief to complete the film, and he hopes it serves as a tribute to Hutchins. The much-anticipated blockbuster Wicked premieres Friday, but theater-goers, listen up. AMC Theaters is asking moviegoers not to sing along during the film adaptation of the Broadway musical, issuing an advisory to remind audiences that silence is golden. But Variety reports some theaters might offer sing-along screenings starting Christmas Day. The all-new Disney cruise has officially been christened. Our parent company's brand new ship called Treasure features new venues with live experiences such as dining space inspired by the movie Coco, a haunted mansion, and a live music jazz club. Our Michael Strahan got an exclusive tour alongside Disney CEO Bob Iger.
All aboard the Disney Treasure, the 6th and newest addition to Disney Cruise Line's expanding fleet. How do you hope that Disney fans respond?
Well, I think they'll love it because with each new ship, it comes new storytelling. And what these ships are all about is really taking our Disney stories around the world. As you know, people interact with our stories all the time in our theme parks, but they're fixed locations. This gives us an opportunity to tell more stories to more people in more places. And I think people will just love it.
And I've been told that this ship is the first one, the Disney Treasure, that was inspired by theme parks.
Well, in reality, all of them take with them some things from our theme parks, but this is one that relies on storytelling that is very specific to theme parks. So Haunted Mansion, first Haunted Mansion we did was in California, way, way back. And there's a Haunted Mansion bar here, as a for instance. And so I think it's the first time that we've actually expressed theme park storytelling on our ships.
Soon to be among the ship's most frequented haunts, a unique experience plucked straight from the theme parks.
Welcome to the Haunted Mansion Parlor. A lounge reminiscent of a first-class lounge from a cruise liner from yesteryear, where we tell the story of a captain that went on a disasterly date with his bride-to-be. Send us a message. Many years ago, when they were first creating the Disneyland attraction Haunted Mansion, Walt Disney Imagineering Rolly Crump started to create an illusion of a ghost fish tank that was never actually used in the attraction itself. But we are so happy to be able to create it here in the Haunted Mansion Parlor.
The ship, it paid homage to Walt Disney's passion for travel and exploration. How did it do that?
Walt actually loved to travel, even though, he was from a small town. He loved to travel. In fact, he went to Europe early on and took black and white pictures with the camera that we actually still have those photos. And when you see the photos, you get a sense for that. I think one of the things this does is it enables people, as Walt did back in his day, to enjoy the Disney experience, but also to see the world at the same time.
And that love for world travel is calling 4,000 passengers when the ship makes its maiden voyage from Port Canaveral, Florida, to the Caribbean. What are you most excited about?
There's much more interactivity. There's much more activation. It's just much more kinetic all around you, almost wherever you go.
Including the first theatrical adaptation of Moana. And Plaza de Coco, inspired by the movie Coco.
Miguel and the Rivera family are here to entertain our guests in our dining room experience. And at Disney Cruise Line, it's a fan favorite for our rotational dining concept. We move you from one restaurant to another each and every single night, but the service team follow you around. In fact, you could even say they become your very own La Familia.
And kids can slide into their very own zone.
And welcome to Disney's Oceaneer Club. Let the adventure begin.
It's here where kids can explore Marvel's Superhero Academy.
Do you see that? You know, the likeness is great.
In a galaxy far, far away.
It's good to see you.
All of this storytelling only made possible by the honorary godparents of the ship, a traditional maritime role that symbolically bestows good fortune and safe passage. Who gets the honor of being the godparent of the Disney Treasure?
Well, we decided we would make the cast members of all of Disney the godparents. And the reason we did that is you can build these great ships with all the engineering in the world and the technology and, of course, the artistry. But it's people that make them come to life. It's people that really deliver the experiences for our guests. And so it was a way of respecting those people and giving them a little bit of something to appreciate their work. We thought everybody, all of our cast members should be the godparents.
And with only 31 days until the ship's first sail, the Disney Treasure is poised to welcome all aboard. What do you hope that they experience on the maiden voyage?
There's actually nothing like a maiden voyage. First of all, everything is brand new, even though we keep things looking brand new all the time. But there's something so almost electrifying and exciting about being the first passengers on a ship. It will be very celebratory.
The final step, christening the ship with a breathtaking drone light show.
May God bless this ship and all who sail upon her.
All the Disney magic and creativity on a cruise ship. Our thanks to Bob and Michael for that. And still to come, grab the tissues for this one. Watch the joy, relief, and celebration when a mother's hard work leads to a life-changing moment.
The news never stops.
From Tampa, we are here tonight as Hurricane Milton has just made landfall.
The surge just keeps coming up.
Right on the border between Ukraine and Russia. In downtown Tel Aviv, rockets or missiles coming in.
ABC News Live everywhere.
We're not far from where this rally took place, so just stick with us here.
Here in London. From the front lines.
Off the coast of Gaza.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
They were 150 feet down, in the dark, in the cold, with just a dwindling supply of oxygen.
An unbelievable mystery. How does the ultimate status symbol end up on the bottom of the sea? How could they be gone in 16 minutes?
It just doesn't happen.
Desperate efforts to find 6 missing people after a luxury yacht sank 160 feet down to the sea floor.
A search and rescue effort continues for passengers on board a 180-foot boat sinking during a severe storm off Sicily.
We were just praying.
It's given birth to countless conspiracy theories.
There is a sort of Titanic quality about it.
7 people missing in the wreckage, 160 feet below the surface.
I think about the last few moments for them on the ship all the time. It's haunting. It's terrifying.
Gone in 16 minutes. Sinking of the super yacht. Now streaming on Hulu. Friday.
911, what's your emergency? I've been exhausted.
And then the line goes silent.
The all-new 2020.
At what point do you realize I might be dealing with a serial killer?
Friday night, the detective and the serial killer.
They've been compared to Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter.
Hey, look at me. I need your help. How many are there?
Whatever he did, I'm gonna get it.
All new 2020, Friday night on ABC.
Finally tonight, years of hard work leading up to one moment of truth.
6 p.m. November 8th, Rihanna Gordon logged onto her laptop with anxiety in her heart and a bundle of nerves over her shoulders. The 34-year-old single mom of 2 awaiting the results of a potentially life-changing exam. After graduating from law school, she then recorded herself as she searched the California Bar website to find out if she passed the state's bar exam, which is widely regarded as one of the country's most rigorous, with just over half of the participants passing on their first try.
Oh my God.
Her 2 children, Finn and Riley, just as anxious as they get the news. Oh my God! Overcome with emotion as they learn she passed on her first try. All 3 in tears of joy. Rihanna shared her excitement on social media, where it's been viewed more than 27 million times on TikTok alone. Rihanna tells us she wants people, especially mothers and single mothers, to know that they can do the hard things and excel.
Congratulations to that entire family. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
How many elephants have you killed?